Good morning. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Free Press Media Press Inc., an alternative parties books publisher, sponsors this podcast. I'm Andrew Bouchard. Welcome to Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Today, friends, we have another exciting set of guests on this podcast. Once again, we're having representatives from the Libertarian Party, and they are from a certain caucus of the Libertarian Party. So it's interesting to see all the different caucuses the Libertarian Party has. They are trendsetters in that regard. So tonight we're going to speak with some pro-life libertarians. So gentlemen, kindly introduce yourselves. Kindly give us your first name and your last name if you like, and tell us a little bit about yourself, a brief biographical sketch if you don't mind.
Russell, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'll start. Russell Brooksbank. I'm the chairman of the Pro-Life Libertarian Caucus. I've been for the Libertarian Party since 2013. I currently live in Indiana, born and raised in Cincinnati. I'm a vet, and anything else you want to know, you just ask me.
Perfect. All right, how about you, sir?
Okay, my name is Albert Veldhuizen. I've been a member of the Libertarian Party since 2016. And when I joined the Libertarian Party, one of the things I thought was really not libertarian was their position on abortion. And so that's the first thing that I really wanted to work on and to have an influence on and to change. So back in 2019, I started an effort to get rid of the abortion plank of the Libertarian Party. And so I started the Libertarian Party Abolish Abortion Plank Caucus. And so we gathered support and sent out a mailer to all the delegates who are going to attend that convention. And then at the same time, Russell was forming the Pro-Life Libertarian Caucus. But at the convention, the 20 convention in Orlando, for the first time, we achieved 45% in support of abolishing the abortion plank.
Oh my!
And at that point, I kept the caucus alive. But in 2022, we got an overwhelming number of delegates to vote down the abortion plank and to eliminate it from the platform.
Wow.
And that was, thanks to the work of Russell, myself, the other members of the Pro-Life Caucus. And at that point, the Libertarian Abolish Abortion Plank Caucus is obviously irrelevant. So, we kind of disbanded that. And I saw you kind of merged into the Pro-Life Caucus, and I'm the secretary of the Pro-Life Caucus, and wanted to see it grow and wanted to see the pro-life position to be the accepted position, or to be more accepted within the party. Now the good thing is the party doesn't have a position on the issue, which allows freedom for both pro-lifers and otherwise to really live in peace, whereas before we kind of felt like second-class citizens. So that's kind of my background in the party. I mean, before that, in terms of my professional life, I was in the Army for 30 years and retired right after 30 years in 2020, and I achieved the rank of colonel in the U.S. Army JAG Corps.
Wow.
So that's kind of my background.
Okay. So the Pro-Life Caucus now, since you succeeded with abolishing the pro-choice plank, is your goal to have an affirmative pro-life plank to take its place?
Not at this time. Our goal is to move the party's attitude more towards a pro-life stance.
Okay.
We believe that the pro-life stance should be the stance of the Libertarian Party, but we're not at that point yet.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Go ahead.
yeah, I just want to say that, you know, we, as good libertarians, we really believe that change should start from the bottom up. And so we really need to see movement at the state level to change their state platforms into a more pro-life position. And, you know, if the time comes, you know, then obviously we're not averse to that. But at this point, you know, the party's not ready for that. That's my attitude anyway.
Okay. So in regards to the philosophy of this, the Libertarian Party, as our audience should know, if they're Libertarians, they obviously know. If there are other parties, they may know. The Libertarian Party strongly believes in the non-aggression principle, which is summed up as, I can do whatever I want with my body as long as I'm not interfering with anybody else's right to do so. So the pro-choice people, I understand, they have the mentality that fits in perfectly with their views because pro-choice is control of their own body. So how would you counter that, since you're the pro-life perspective? How would you tell people that the pro-choice position is violating the non-aggression principle?
Well, I think I can, if I may, I can quote from our preamble for the Pro-Life Libertarian Caucus, which says that the Libertarian Party stands for the protection of the rights of the smallest minority, the individual. So we cannot think of an individual that needs more protection than a preborn person. We believe that a pro-life stance is the correct stance for the Libertarian Party.
Okay.
And so we strive to move the culture of the Libertarian Party towards that stance by supporting candidates for party leadership, nominees to public office, changes to our party platform, and education of fellow members. So basically, it's a difference of whether you believe that the preborn person is actually a person, is actually a human being. I mean, that's basically the crux, the difference, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is, yes, you have the right to control your body, and you make the decision to have sexual intercourse. Then you know, we have our platform also talks about, you know, that you have the right to decisions, but you don't have the right to avoid the consequences of the decision. And you know, so the child is in the situation that they are in because of the action of the parents, and it's our position that, you know, the parents then have a duty of care towards the child until such time as they can transfer that duty to another adult.
Okay.
And so, so yes, you do have the right to do what you want with your body, but the child is not your body, and you don't have the right to kill them because they're inconvenient.
Okay. I'm not sure the exact statistics, though some people portray the pro-choice movement as more female than male and the pro-life movement as more male. They make it a gender issue. So would you say that's the case with the Libertarian Party? Is it the most of the people who support the pro-life views are men, and then women are more in the pro-choice category, or does it not depend on that?
Well, I've seen a lot of pro-life women come forward in that, and actually we have a female coordinator for the state of California, and we have a female on our executive board, and that, and you know, so I mean, I wouldn't say it's 50-50, you know, but I would kind of go with what you're saying, that it leans more female on the pro-choice side, but not by much.
Oh, by small amounts. Okay. Fair enough. So one thing that people like to bring up in the pro-choice, pro-life issue is the limitations of the pro-life position. Namely, how do you feel about the exceptions of incest, rape, and the mother's life in jeopardy? Do you think those warrant abortion, or do you think pro-life needs to stand in all those cases?
Well, I think that there are different pro-life positions, and the pro-life Libertarian Caucus is kind of a big tent in that respect, because we do have members who believe that maybe the state should get involved after the first trimester. We have other people who believe kind of in the concept of evictionism. We have other people who believe that yes, those exceptions are valid, but we don't consider those in the pro-life category because they do believe in pro-life, but they do believe that either for political reasons or other reasons that there should be certain exceptions. Personally, my view is that it should be from the moment of conception. I just think that that's the most logical point. But that's just me. But I don't represent all those who are, in the pro-life Libertarian Caucus or in the pro-life movement in general. So,
sure.
Russell, do you want to comment?
Yeah, and I'll say, for me personally, there are specific exceptions that I would, and from a libertarian standpoint, rape. The woman did not consent to sexual intercourse, and this is something that happened to her. And of course, I do understand, and I do take heart, the other side's view in that two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah.
But in my heart, I can't force a woman to carry that pregnancy. But I would also have caveats, that, if they are going to abort, then it should happen before brain activity starts, which is very, very early. It's like 8 weeks.
Okay.
So, if you've been raped, that that you don't want the child, you should immediately.
Okay.
But also, I'm more in the camp that I would prefer that the woman keep the child, and we should do everything as a society to help her do that. And with Dr. Ron Paul, the way he talks about abortion is that, and I believe this too, is that it's not going to be ended through law. We can pass all the laws we want, and we all know that laws get broken.
Yeah.
And so, but what we really need in this country is a change of heart. We need a change of attitude. We need a change of attitude towards the single mother, towards the rape victims. We shouldn't be shaming them. We should be supporting them. And,
sure.
And so if maybe we had that change of heart, then the woman would not feel pressured to have that abortion.
Okay. But let me add to that, because our platform really discusses these issues, and so and I agree with our platform. Talking about the life of the mother, women do have a right of self-defense. That's what it says. If the pregnancy is killing her, then we would not stand in the way of a woman making the decision to protect herself. We would urge, though, that every attempt to save both mother and child be made. And then for the rape exception, our platform says rape is a horrendous evil, and no woman should be impregnated against her will. However, a child wrongly conceived is still a child deserving of protection, because the first violation of the non-aggression principle does not justify a second such violation. As soon as technology allows for the mother to evict the child safely, there should be priority in law to allow the mother to evict the child and to permit adoption if desired by the mother.
Okay.
So that's what our platform says. So
okay.
I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, sounds good.
It took us a year of meetings to get our platform and our bylaws and everything made. So there was a lot of discussion.
Oh my. Yeah, it sounds like it's a big issue. So adoption is a big concern of yours. It sounds like from what you read to me. Are you focusing on private forms of adoption, since the Libertarian Party prefers the privatization of most things, or do you think in this case it would warrant the state to get involved?
Well, from my point of view, I think the state should have a minimal role in all matters. And in terms of adoption, we really need to encourage adoption and really get the state out of the adoption business, because the state is putting all kinds of rules and regulations in the adoption process that's making adoption a lot harder and a lot more expensive. And it really should be made a whole lot easier. And I think that will prevent a lot of abortions.
Okay. So deregulation would help reduce abortion, you think?
Yes.
Interesting. So earlier you mentioning how the pro-life caucus is a big tent for a lot of different pro-life views. So correct me if I'm wrong, I would assume that would mean that you have people in there that have a religious basis of their pro-life views, as well as people who may be more secular in their support of pro-life views. Usually think of the religious people are the ones who are in support of pro-life views, but I've heard of the atheist groups supporting pro-life too. So is that
exactly
the case?
And that is the case, and we on our social media platforms we really repost a lot of stuff from secular pro-life. So and I personally come to the pro-life position not from a religious point of view, but from a scientific, rational point of view.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that would go my view solely on the scientific fact that we're unique human beings from the moment of conception. Science at the time of, and I hate to mention it, but science at the time of Roe v. Wade wasn't good enough to. We really had no idea what happened during conception and that. And so as the science grew and our science and our knowledge grew, that's what I base my belief. I believe that a person is a person no matter what stage of development they're in, and every person has the same inalienable rights. And that's not a religious view. That's from a scientific standpoint and a logical standpoint. If I went by if I went by my religion, a lot of the Christian faith has, life only starting at the quickening, which is when the woman can actually feel the child moving. And I'm way before that.
Interesting. I didn't hear that before. That so some religions believe that the child has to be able to kick inside for the woman, for the child to have rights.
Right.
I think they're different.
Yeah. There's different religious views. I'm sorry, Al. But yes, there's different religious views, and one of the main Christian views puts it all determines on a term called ensoulment, when the soul is actually put into the child. And,
okay.
a lot of Christian faiths believe the ensoulment happens when the but we all know life happens way before then, and science has proven that.
Yeah, well, what's interesting, I agree with what Russell's saying, and there are other people who also, say they're religious and they believe that, they believe that abortion is permissible, but
Sure.
so I mean there are a lot of variations, and you can't just go by what one religion or the other one says. But what's interesting is legally in the early colonies, and because I studied this earlier, exactly what Russell was saying was it was in the law. I mean there are a lot of state laws prohibited any kind of abortion after the quickening. So because they believe that's when the life started. So that's correct. And I think they might have taken those kind of concepts from religious concepts as well. But then, interestingly, there were a few states who had other views on it. Who would prohibit abortion on earlier than that. So it's kind of run the gamut, but I mean, science has proven that life begins at conception. So that's why, I take the position I take.
Okay. So what types of activities does the caucus do to spread its message?
Well, I think you were saying what activities the caucus does, and
yes.
I'll tell you what I've been doing for the caucus, and this is, I think, what we do most is we try to influence other libertarians. So we've been going to conferences, pro-freedom conferences, like Students for Liberty conference we went to last year in Florida. I've attended numerous state libertarian conventions. And we set up a table, and we have pro-life materials in addition to our caucus materials, and we basically talk to people about their views on abortion, and we also try to support people within the party who are pro-life. So we've endorsed candidates in the past, and I'm sure this is an election year, so we'll continue to do that. We'll endorse other candidates. So that's primarily what we do. But, also our members are active in different areas of the pro-life movement, and like crisis pregnancy centers and pro-life marches, other things like that. So it really runs the gamut.
Okay. So you mentioned how you're endorsing candidates when they meet your standards. So would you say that there's a fair number of candidates that are vocal about abortion, or do some that are pro-life don't talk about it, or how does that work? Are people vocal about their pro-life views, or is it something that they feel they need to hide within the Libertarian Party?
Well, it really depends. I mean, I've been to what we've done. Another thing that we've done recently is we've interviewed most of the major Libertarian Party presidential candidates. And because we wanted to see where they're coming from and potentially make an endorsement of one or more. And so in my experience in interviewing these candidates, I found that there are some who are much more outspoken than others on the pro-life side. There's really a variety. And then, for example, a couple of them have good pro-life stances on their websites. And then there are others who say they're pro-life, but they really don't advertise it a whole lot, And that's not a main focus for them. But they're still pro-life. So there are variations.
Okay. So you say I'm sorry, okay, yeah, go ahead.
And one of the main goals of the caucus and why we formed the caucus was to make it to where people who are pro-life didn't have to feel afraid to voice their opinion on the matter anymore. You know, they to where they know that there are people who actually think like them and will stand with them. And so hopefully as we grow, more and more people will be more outspoken.
Okay. So you mentioned the caucus endorses candidates. Do you put that up for a vote for the caucus members, or does the officers of the caucus choose that, decide that? How is that determined?
Yeah, we have a link on our website that candidates would submit to us, or submit a questionnaire, and then the executive board, the endorsement committee and the executive board would vote on endorsing them.
Okay.
Yes. The endorsement committee goes over it, and then they recommend whether or not to endorse, and then bring it to the executive committee.
Okay, so the committee evaluates it, and then they bring it to the main body of the caucus.
Correct.
No, to the executive board of the caucus.
To the executive board. Okay.
Right. So it's not the members at large. We have many members at large, but it's the executive board that makes the final decision.
Okay. That sounds good. So how can our audience support the pro-life Libertarian Caucus?
Well, the best thing to do is to go to libertyprolife.org/PLLC in all caps. And if you go to that website, under each page, there's a donate button. And so then you click the donate button, and then you can donate through PayPal to the caucus. That's a financial way of helping the caucus.
Okay.
But just as important, you know, we really would like people to get more involved and to be members of the caucus and to attend events and to go to conventions and try to influence the Libertarian Party. So.
Sounds good. So, gentlemen, thank you for coming on the podcast today and talking about your caucus, an interesting caucus, and we wish you all the best in the caucus activities and advancing the caucus.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
I wish you all the best in your political activities as well as everything else you do in life.
Okay, thank you. You too.
All right, take care and all the best.
Okay, you too. Bye.